By the time the sun reached the edge of my kitchen window in Sonoma, my phone had already lived a lifetime of panic without me. It buzzed across the table in short, frantic bursts, vibrating against the wood like a trapped insect. I didn't rush to pick it up. At 71, I have learned that nothing good comes in that kind of urgency. When I finally turned the screen toward me, the number nearly made me blink. 53 missed calls. Darla, Evan, the wedding planner, unknown numbers stacked beneath them like falling dominoes. I let the phone buzz once more before opening the voicemail. The last message was from a man I barely recognized by voice alone. Darla's attorney, his breath tangled in his throat as he spoke. "Mrs. Grant, we have a serious problem. A very serious problem. Please return this call immediately." I listened to it twice, each time catching the tremor he tried to hide. Then, without meaning to, I laughed quiet, almost gentle. The kind of laugh that slips out when the world finally reveals the truth you have been pretending not to see. Funny, I murmured to myself. 12 hours ago, my daughter told me I wasn't family. So I gave her exactly what she asked for. I set the phone down and steadied my hands around my mug. The warmth did nothing for the ache humming in my chest, but it kept me present, anchored. Everyone always assumes a mother's breaking point comes with shouting, or tears, or threats. Mine arrived in the shape of a voicemail I had memorized without wanting to, the one she should never have sent. "My name is Eulalia Grant, and last night, my daughter decided she no longer needed me, not my presence, not my love, and certainly not my blessing. By morning, she learned what it truly meant to cut someone loose." I pressed play on her message again, letting her voice spill into the room as I braced myself for the moment everything began to unravel. I pressed play again, even though I already knew every syllable by heart. "Mom, it's Darla. I need to be clear so there's no confusion. You are not family. Stay away. Do not come to my wedding." Her voice was sharp in the way a blade is sharp clean, cold, sure of itself. When the message ended, the quiet in my living room felt heavier than the words. I did not cry. I did not shout. I just sat there, hands folded in my lap, feeling the weight of years settling onto my shoulders. Darla had been pulling away long before this voicemail. It started after her father, Jonas, died. She grieved in anger. I grieved in silence. Somewhere in the middle, we stopped knowing how to reach for each other. She wanted someone to blame for losing him. I was the closest target. Then came the entitlement little things at first. "Mom, you can cover this. Mom, you have better credit. Mom, it's easier if you handle it." Every request slid into the next one until it stopped being a request at all. Listening to her voice now, I could hear that version of her again, grown sharper with age. I replayed the message once more, not because I needed to, but because something in me wanted to understand what kind of daughter says those words. Halfway through, a new realization hit me, one that pulled a dry laugh from my throat. She had not blocked my number. She wanted me gone, but she still expected my money to keep moving in the background. I could almost hear her thinking, cut her out emotionally, keep her in financially. I leaned back, exhaling slowly as the truth settled. For 71 years, I had been the one who fixed everything, the one who apologized first, the one who sacrificed to keep the peace. But this time, something in me shifted. I was no longer sure I wanted to hold a bridge that my own daughter kept burning behind her. And when my phone buzzed again, her name flashing across the screen, I did not reach for it. When the voicemail ended, I found myself scrolling through old emails without meaning to. Confirmations, receipts, quiet pieces of a story I had been writing with my checkbook for 6 long months. The first message I opened was from Vinecrest Estate, their signature blue letterhead shining at the top. Thank you for the venue deposit. It read, balance due 2 weeks before the ceremony. I remembered standing at the counter, signing the contract, while Darla pretended to take an important call. It will just be easier if you handle it. Mom, she whispered as she walked away. The next email showed the catering installments, each one drafted from my personal account. Then the dress fittings, 3 separate charges from a boutique in downtown Sonoma, the photography retainer, the traditional wine barrels ordered from a family-owned shop Jonas once adored. Every detail she claimed she was coordinating with Evan. Every detail I had quietly carried. I opened another email and stared at the total. Nearly 70% of the wedding costs had come from me. Darla had never told Evan or his family. She let them believe she and Evan were splitting everything evenly. A message from her appeared in my memory, one she had sent months earlier. Mom, do not tell Evan's mother about the money. She is very particular. She did not say thank you. She said do not tell. The realization hit hard and fast, as if someone had pulled the floor out from under me. I wasn't invited as a mother. I wasn't even invited as a guest. I was the silent sponsor, the invisible bank account. The woman expected to stand outside the celebration she had paid for. My phone vibrated again, another text from Darla, short and sharp. Call me. There is an issue with the planner. I stared at her name. Not with anger this time, but with a cold, startling clarity. For years, I had given without limits, hoping generosity would close the distance between us. But all it had done was teach her how easy I was to use. I arrived at Miriam Keats's office before she even unlocked the door. She took one look at my face and ushered me inside without a word. Miriam had been my attorney since Jonas passed. She had seen me through the worst. But even she wasn't prepared for the voicemail I played for her. When Darla's voice ended, Miriam's expression sharpened. Eulalia, she actually said that I nodded, and she still expects me to pay for her wedding tomorrow morning. Miriam pulled her glasses off. The gesture abrupt. Then it is time we stop pretending she has a legal right to any of this. She turned to her computer and began typing rapidly. Every payment you've made didn't come from your personal checking account, as Darla assumed. They came from a sub-trust your husband created. You are the sole controlling authority. I blinked. Meaning, she said, swiveling the monitor toward me. Your daughter has no legal claim to a single cent. If you freeze the funds, everything stops instantly. A quiet ran through me. Not fear, not guilt. Something steadier. Something long overdue. Miriam slid 3 documents across the desk. First, immediate freeze of all outgoing wedding payments. Second, termination of your parental guarantees on her credit lines. Third, cessation of all future distributions tied to the event. I hesitated only a moment. Darla's voicemail echoed in my mind. You are not family. Stay away. My signature landed cleanly on all 3 pages. Miriam exhaled. Weddings are delicate machines. One jammed gear, and the whole thing collapses. I know, I said, standing. My voice felt unfamiliar, firm, unshaking. I'm done funding a life I'm not allowed to be part of. As I stepped outside, the air felt different, lighter, almost kind. I sank into the driver's seat, closed my eyes, and let the quiet settle. For the first time in years, I wasn't rushing to fix anything. I was finally letting it break. By the time I stepped back into the kitchen the next morning, the cold open of my day had already begun. My phone buzzed nonstop, flashing notifications so quickly the screen looked lit from within. I didn't rush to pick it up this time either. The first email subject line read, Urgent, payment declined, immediate attention required. It was from the wedding planner. She followed it with another message seconds later. Eulalia, please confirm whether you intended to halt funds. We cannot proceed without payment. Before I could breathe, the caterer called, Mrs. Grant, we need confirmation of the final transfer today or we pull out entirely. his tone strained between fear and irritation, as if I were the one jeopardizing his schedule. I let the call ring out. Next came Pastor Leonard Ames, his message soft and apologetic. "Good morning. Eulalia, I just want to check in. The ceremony account bounced last night. I hope everything is all right." It was almost kind. Almost. Then Evan's text arrived. "Is this a misunderstanding? Darla said you handled all payments." A moment later, Darla's message popped up, sharp as a snapped twig. "Fix this now. Do not embarrass me." Another message followed. "I swear, if you ruin this, I didn't open the rest." I scrolled through the screen instead, letting my eyes pass over each line. Not a single message said Mom. Not one person asked if I was all right, or why things had changed, or what had happened between us the night before. They wanted the machine running again. They didn't care about the hands that had kept it alive for so long. I placed the phone face down on the table and folded my hands. I was not going to clean up after her this time. Miriam called before noon, her voice clipped and urgent. "Eulalia, I need you to come back to the office. There's something you should see." I drove without turning on the radio. When I stepped into her office, she already had a worn leather binder open on the desk. Jonas's handwriting peeked out along the edges, his careful block letters, the same ones he used when labeling wine barrels in our garage. Miriam tapped a page. "This is the original trust your husband set up. It includes a clause I think you may have forgotten." I leaned closer. The words blurred for a moment before settling into focus. "Beneficiaries must maintain a good faith relationship with Eulalia Grant." Miriam looked up. "Your daughter's voicemail alone is a direct violation of this clause." I let the silence sit between us. "You're saying she disqualified herself?" "I'm saying," Miriam replied gently, "that Jonas built protections around you. If a beneficiary causes emotional harm or severs ties, they are automatically subject to removal. The trust was designed to shield you from exactly this kind of treatment." I felt something move in my chest, something old, almost tender. Jonas had written these documents more than a decade ago, long before Darla grew sharp enough to wound me this deeply. Miriam continued, "If you choose to amend the trust, Darla loses her future inheritance. All of it. You are not punishing her. You are following the terms your husband put in place." My throat tightened. "Jonas told me once, this trust is so you're never alone, Lalia. Not even if Darla loses her way." I thought he was exaggerating. "He wasn't," Miriam said, sliding a pen toward me. He saw the world clearly. I stared at my name already printed beneath the amendment line. Darla's voicemail echoed again. "You're not family. Stay away." My hand did not shake when I signed. Miriam closed the folder softly. "It's done. Effective immediately." Just like that. Every cent Darla had expected to inherit vanished into legal air. I stood, exhaling slowly. For the first time in years, the weight on my shoulders felt lighter than the pen in my hand. Darla told everyone she was going for her final gown fitting at 11 in the morning. I learned what happened there from a single text Evan sent hours later. "We need to talk about your daughter at the boutique." Darla stepped up to the counter with confidence dripping off her smile. She handed over her card. The clerk ran it once, then again, slower. "I'm sorry," the woman said carefully. "This card has been declined." Darla forced a laugh. "That's impossible." "Run it again." The clerk did. Same result. A manager appeared. Voices lowered. Darla's posture faltered, then stiffened into anger. Meanwhile, at Vinecrest Estate, venue manager Celeste Rowan approached Margot Huxley with an apologetic bow of her head. "Mrs. Huxley, we have not received the final wedding payment. We attempted to reach Ms. Grant, but her phone is disconnected." Margot's face drained of color. "Disconnected? What do you mean disconnected?" Celeste's reply was quiet. It appears she removed the primary fund authorization. Margot found Evan near the tasting room and pulled him aside. Her voice trembled with humiliation. Evan, the venue says the payments are gone. Completely gone. The wedding planner, who had been juggling collapsing timelines since dawn, finally snapped. I cannot coordinate a ceremony without confirmed funding. I quit. She snatched her clipboard and walked out, leaving the couple mid-sentence. Evan rounded on Darla the moment she arrived at the estate. Did you lie? He demanded. Did you tell me you two were paying for this together when it was really your mother? Darla's eyes darted everywhere but at him. It's fine. I'll fix it. I just fix it, how Evan pressed. You said everything was covered. You said your mother insisted. Darla swallowed hard, panic finally cracking through her voice. She'll handle it. She always does. But even then, standing in the ruins of her own making, she never once tried to call me. Not to apologize, not to ask, not to understand what she had done. The wedding wasn't the only thing beginning to fall apart. I had just set the kettle on the stove when frantic knocking rattled my front door. It was not the kind of knock meant to be heard, it was meant to break something. When I opened the door, Darla stood there in a half-finished version of herself, one eye lined, the other streaked with tears, her hair pinned on one side and falling apart on the other. Fix this. She snapped before I could speak. Fix what you ruined. I looked at her carefully, the way a mother looks at a child she no longer recognizes. What exactly do you believe I ruined? Darla, my wedding. She spat. The payments, the venue, the planner, everything is falling apart because of you. I need you to undo whatever stupid thing you did last night. Behind her, in the driveway, Evan sat in the car. His hands were on the wheel, his eyes fixed straight ahead. He didn't move, didn't call out, didn't follow her. He was here, but he was refusing to stand beside her. I stepped outside just enough to meet her eyes. You told me I was not family, and I listened. I respected your request. That was different. She cried, voice cracking under its own weight. I was angry. All right, you know how I get when I'm stressed. You were very clear, I said softly. You wanted distance. You wanted independence from me. I wanted you not to embarrass me. Her voice rose, then broke. Just fix it, please. Just do what you always do. There it was. The desperation, the fear, the expectation. Not a trace of apology, not a single word of regret. I opened the door just enough for myself. I won't fund a life I'm not allowed to be part of. Her breath hitched, anger flaring again, but she said nothing. I closed the door slowly, gently, because endings deserve care even when they are earned. By noon, Vinecrest Estate was a knot of confusion and raised voices. Celeste Rowan, the venue manager, stood at the center of it with a clipboard pressed to her chest and a calmness she was clearly fighting to maintain. I am officially canceling the ceremony, she announced to the staff. We have no confirmed payment, and we cannot proceed under these circumstances. Servers began packing crates. Florists pulled down half-finished arrangements. Guests arriving early for photos were met with abrupt apologies and tension thick enough to taste. Margot Huxley hovered near the entrance, mortified, whispering to her relatives as they tried not to stare at her stricken expression. Darla arrived moments later, breathless, still in the same half-made state she had carried to my doorstep. You cannot cancel, she insisted, pushing past a staff member. My mother is handling everything. This will be fixed. Celeste kept her tone even. Your mother contacted no one. The payments were withdrawn. We have no contract to honor. Evan approached then, his face hardening with each word he overheard. Darla, he said quietly, we need to talk. Now, she pulled him aside, but her voice carried in sharp, frantic bursts. It was supposed to go through. She was supposed to fix it. She always does. Evan's reply was low, steady. Did you lie to me about who was paying for this wedding? She froze. Her silence answered for her. He exhaled slowly, as if releasing the last thread of patience he had left. I cannot build a marriage on lies. Darla, not with this. Not with how you treat people. The words hit her harder than any cancellation notice. She crumpled to the ground, shaking, while members of the Huxley family looked away in pained embarrassment. Hours later, when the chaos had thinned, I received a message from Evan. I am sorry you were treated that way. None of this was fair to you. I typed back a simple response. Thank you for saying so. I wish you peace, moving forward. Then I set my phone down, letting the quiet settle where all the noise had finally ended. Darla arrived 3 days after the ruined wedding, this time with a sharply dressed man at her side. He introduced himself as Mr. Harlan Pierce, her attorney, his tone clipped and authoritative. We're here to discuss Ms. Grant's legal claim to her inheritance, he said, adjusting his briefcase on my dining table as if preparing for battle. Miriam sat beside me, calm as ever, hands folded neatly over a stack of documents. There is no claim, she replied. The amendment was executed in accordance with the original trust conditions, irrevocable, binding. Darla leaned forward, her eyes red but burning. You cannot just take everything from me. I did not take anything, I said softly. You forfeited it. Mr. Pierce cleared his throat. Mrs. Grant, if you refuse to restore her share, we'll have no choice but to contest. Miriam interrupted with the smooth precision of a scalpel. Contest what? Exactly. The clause requiring a good faith relationship, the explicit violations recorded in her voicemail, the notarized amendment signed by the trustee in charge. She slid the paperwork toward him. Everything is airtight. His confidence faltered. He scanned the document once, twice, then exhaled sharply. It appears in order. Darla shot him a furious glance, then turned back to me. So what now? You keep the money out of spite. No, I answered, reaching into a separate folder. I gave it a purpose. I laid the notarized directive between us. Your share has been permanently diverted into the Jonas Grant Scholarship Fund. It supports foster youth here in Sonoma children who have no safety net. Darla stared, confused. You can't do that. I already have, Miriam added. The fund received its first accepted applicant yesterday, a 17-year-old boy pursuing agricultural science. The moment the words landed, Darla's face crumpled. That was supposed to be mine, she whispered, voice cracking under the weight of realization. I met her eyes gently. It was supposed to go to someone who understood family. For a long, brittle moment, she said nothing. Mr. Pierce closed his briefcase, recognizing the conversation was over. When they finally left, the house grew quiet again, a quiet that felt earned. That evening, I sat on my porch with a cup of tea, watching the last light soften over Sonoma's rolling hills. I felt the kind of peace that doesn't come from winning, it comes from choosing yourself after a lifetime of choosing someone who never chose you back. If you've ever had to reclaim your life from the people who misused your love, hit like, share your story in the comments, and subscribe for more moments of strength.